it's Jim. It's the end of 2021, and a lot of people are doing year-end recaps. And I realized that I didn't buy that many records this year, and those that I did, I've pretty much all shown throughout the year. And I'm not sure how much I wanted to think back on the year anyways. So I started thinking about doing a year-end recap, and thought it might be better to do a year-end recap of a year I really enjoyed. So I was listening to Chasing Promises by Breathless the other day, and that made me think about 1989, and there were a lot of my favorite records that had shown up in that year. So I thought I'll do a year-end review, but just not of 2021. I'll do it for 1989.
1989, another summer. Sound of the funky drummer. Music hitting your heart, cause I know you got a soul. Hey, listen if you're missing, y'all. Swinging while I'm singing. Hey, giving what you're getting.
So, starting off with Galaxy 500 on Fire. This is their sophomore LP, produced by Kramer. This was, I think, just a beautiful masterpiece of dream pop and shoegaze. I always felt like this record feels like a soft, warm coat on a snowy day. Beautiful record. Nada by the Prunes, not the Virgin Prunes. They kind of reformed from the ashes of the Virgin Prunes. 3 of the original members of the Virgin Prunes are the Prunes. A bit dark, proto-shoegazy kind of feel to it. I've always felt this was a truly overlooked record. Really great sound to it and worth checking out. Breathless. This is Chasing Promises. Breathless kind of sounds like somebody took an orchestra and stuffed it into a tiny little echo chamber. Dominic Appleton, the lead singer, has this kind of droll, monotone, yet somehow really beautiful voice that just kind of soars over the top of everything. If you are familiar with This Mortal Coil, Appleton sang several tracks on those records as well, and he has a very distinctive voice. From the Blue Nile. This is probably as close as the Blue Nile ever got to a breakout record. Beautiful, quiet, probably the most melancholy record in this stack, and that's kind of saying something. A gorgeous record.
There is just one thing I can say. Nobody loves you this way.
Beat Happening's third LP, Black Candy. This is kind of the opposite of melancholy. There's no irony or guile to this band. Just feels kind of like an open heart. Calvin Johnson's vocals are kind of like a bumblebee in a coffee can. He just has this beautiful baritone, a bit monotonous and level, but just really engaging and catchy.
My blood joined the club, every stub makes my head, twist my heart, molten lead, my palm, give me some black candy, yeah. Black candy, black candy.
Fugazi, 1989, they released the 3 songs mini 7-inch and the Margin Walker EP. These are sort of punk, post-hardcore, just perfect little albums or records, I guess. I think that they were on just every mixtape that I made in that year, and they were never far away from me. Tweezer from Slint, their first LP. Noise rock, math rock, post rock, sort of the birth of that. Kind of noisy, jazzy. It took a little while for me to get into this record, but once I did, I just really, really connected to it. Next is Scar from Lush, though this is Gala, which came out in 1990, which was just a collection of Scar and Mad Love and Sweetness and Light. Lush kind of sits between Galaxy 500 and My Bloody Valentine on the kind of dream pop shoegaze continuum. Really, really just beautiful record. I think Scar is still my favorite of their records. Then we've got Floating into the Night from Julie Cruz. This is kind of pure Americana dream pop. It's kind of this dark, jazzy, film noir kind of feel to it, which kind of cinematic quality is not surprising because it was a a work with David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti, director and composer. Really beautiful record. Stone Roses' first LP, The Stone Roses. This felt like a kind of dancey, psychedelic, shoegazy record, and it was just sort of pure joy at the time. I loved this record, and if it had been possible to wear out a CD, I'm pretty sure I would have gone through 3 of them that year. Pixies. This was really the Pixies' breakout record. I have to admit that I have this thing about this record because before this point, the Pixies were sort of this secret band that had produced this just amazing first album, Surfer Rosa, and EP, Come On Pilgrim, and they sort of belonged to me like nobody else that I knew about them. And when this record came out, they were just everywhere. And I think it took me a long time to get over like them blowing up so big. And that's just being a dorky kid who loves music, and it's just really, you know, it's fun to look back on now, but it's hard to admit that. It's an amazing record. So in 1989, Martin Scorsese made a movie called The Last Temptation of Christ, and it was this huge deal. Like the Catholic Church railed against it. People were boycotting movie theaters. Movie theaters wouldn't show the film. It was like hardly shown in any theaters in the country, and it was just like, I think there were just a few theaters that would show it. I went and saw it at an art house cinema in Baltimore, and everybody was concerned that, you know, somebody was going to bomb the theater. It was this huge thing. I don't think anybody even remembers that now. It was a good movie, but the soundtrack from Peter Gabriel was really amazing. It's a truly great soundtrack, and I think it should have won the Oscar for Best Original Score of the Year, but it wasn't even nominated. And my guess is it didn't get nominated because of all the ridiculous controversy over the film. I just absolutely adored this soundtrack and still do to this day. It's beautiful. Disintegration from The Cure was their 8th studio LP, and it came about because the band had gotten really kind of sick of where their sound had gone. It had become very kind of light and commercial, and they just decided to sort of throw everything out the window and just do whatever they really wanted to do. And it turned into this kind of sprawling, dense, lush, shoegazy, dream pop kind of masterpiece. It's just, it's a stunning record. It's really beautiful. It's by far my favorite record of theirs. It was a great record. It was like shoegaze, dream pop, that whole sound was just so in the air in 1989. So hip hop was really just coming into its own in the late 80s, and the records in '89 that really caught me was Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique, which was this sort of beautiful, cut up masterpiece of sampling and kind of an homage to everything that the Beastie Boys loved about funk and soul and R&B and hip hop, just kind of crammed together in like a little punky soup. Still a great record.
Can you handle it? To my style, can't hold a candle. It's when I'm symmetry and the balance is right. Smoking and drinking on a Tuesday night. Not how you play that game, it's how you win it. I cheat and steal, and sin, and I'm a sinner. For those about to rock, we salute you. The great thoughts and dirty minds we contribute to. Once was lost, but now I'm found. The music box is over and you're more with the sound. Well, shot from heaven to earth, good mix sound. And yo, I think I'm starting to think about now.
Then the other record that I listened to all throughout the year, well, half the year, I guess, was 3 Feet High and Rising from De La Soul. This was their debut LP, produced by Prince Paul, and it's, to this day, I think, one of the kind of high points in hip hop. Just a great record.
3, that's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
3.
Somewhere in this hip hop soul community was born 3 makes the me, and that's a magic number. Difficult preaching is posthumous pleasure. Pleasure in preaching starts in the heart. Something that stimulates my music and I measure in the music breaks in 3 parts. Casually see but don't do like the soul. Seeing and doing no actions for monkeys. Doing hip hop hustle, no rock and roll. Unless your name's Brewster, cause Brewster's a punky.
So that's my year in review, at least of 1989. And who knows, maybe in 32 years I will make a review of 2021, but I doubt it. Thank you for taking the time and getting all the way through this and watching. And if you have any records from '89 that really meant a lot to you, please comment. I'd love to hear about them. Otherwise, thanks for watching and take care.